Welcome to The Trader, a Traitors podcast. I'm Matthew, a writer working in unscripted TV development with a book launch coming up this very weekend, more details to follow. And this podcast, of course, is dedicated to the TV phenomenon The Traitors. We mainly cover English-speaking versions of the show from around the world, but have recently covered The Traitors India, as well as some other reality strategy shows like Netflix's Million Dollar Secret and ITV's Genius Game. This season of the podcast is dedicated to the debut season of the Celebrity Traitors UK. In every episode of the pod, we will be recapping every main event in the show. We'll be looking at the tactics and the gameplay, maybe even sneaking in a little lie or two here and there. I'll be joined every episode with a new guest co-host, and joining me today is someone who has been on the podcast before and will be very familiar to Trader listeners. Let's meet them. Sanjay is an award-winning actor in theatre, short films, TV and commercials, a writer, comedian based in Glasgow and London. He was awarded the Birds of Paradise Emerging Talent Award for his show Love Me Like a Chai Tea Latte at Edinburgh Fringe 2024, and he also performed this year, which was then selected as part of the Soho Rising Festival at Soho Theatre 2025, where I was in the audience. I did see in Edinburgh as well. He was the John Mather Trust Rising Star of Scotland recipient with National Theatre of Scotland, and his writing has been longlisted for awards across the UK. Sanjay is also a huge fan of Doctor Who, Only Murders in the Building, EastEnders, R.I.P. Tamika, and of course, The Traitors. And he's a returning guest of the podcast. Welcome back,
Woo!
Sanjay. How you
I
doing?
love this podcast. I really do. I love this podcast.
Oh,
It's
I'm
so
so
much
happy
fun.
you've come back. Last time you were on, we were talking about The Traitors India, which was an amazing season. But am I right in thinking you've not actually seen the outcome of it yet?
No, I have no idea what's happened. Life kind of took over post Fringe, and I was gutted. It's also really hard to find at times. So I was like, where is it? But I did enjoy what I did watch.
Okay.
I don't know who's dead. Ooh,
I
no
won't spoil
spoilers.
anything. No spoilers. It was such a great series. I really hope it comes to. It was on Amazon Prime in India, so I hope it comes to Amazon Prime like worldwide, or maybe even. I
Mm.
don't think it'll come to the BBC, but I'm hoping that Amazon Prime in the UK you'll be able to watch it there. So highly recommend whenever it becomes available to you and to everybody listening. Now, Sanjay, I'm going to read. We've got lots of listener comments this episode and questions and voice memos. I'm going to start with one from Maria on Instagram, who this is simply just, it's not a question, it's just a nice comment. And I thought, oh, that's really sweet. I'm going to read it out. It says, I listened to all the podcasts covering Celebrity Traitors, and yours is the best. That includes the one with, oh, maybe I shouldn't read the next bit because it might throw a bit of shade on another podcast. So thank you, Maria. That was very nice. And there are more Instagram DMs that I've got I'm going to read out later. Before we get anywhere near that, or before we get into episode 4 of Celebrity Traitors, Sanjay, I am going to introduce yet again our podcast game, The Trader Traitor. Inspired by Traitors viewers' claims that they could easily spot the traitor's lies and deceptions, we're going to be playing our own game of secrecy and betrayal. The mission for Sanjay and I from here on in is to tell a sneaky lie to each other. Our lie has to be a complete fabrication, a made up fact. It can be big or it can be small, and it can be about the traitors or anything. It could be about ourselves. For example, I could lie and say that right now I am in France, and I'm sitting in a room in the Eiffel Tower, and that's why I've got a fake background today instead of my usual. But I couldn't lie about just my thoughts or feelings about something, like saying I don't like France and it is a bad place. That would just be a fake opinion. So we're looking for fake facts and false pieces of information. Normally I prepare those in advance, and I hadn't really prepared one, so I was just making up some really rubbish ones there. And listeners, you can put your skills to the test here and see if anything lights up your radar. And then at the end of the episode, Sanji and I will test our traitor hunting abilities and see if we can catch and banish each other. Sanjay, are you ready to deceive me and betray me and lie to me today?
Yes, I am.
Okay, said that very easily. Uh, we'll see what happens, and our game officially begins now. And it's time for us to dive into episode 4 of the Celebrity Traitors. To start with,
Oh wait, it's not the weakest link. Sorry.
that is really funny you've mentioned the weakest link because that is a very weird coincidence. Something connected to the weakest link is going to come up later in the podcast. So I was gonna maybe edit that out, but I'm gonna keep it in Sanjay and you'll find out why. So
Ooh.
let's have a wee recap. What do we need to know? What did we see at the start of the episode? Well, we've had 2 faithful banishments, 2 murders, and 2 shields won in the most recent mission by Claire and Mark. The 2 Joes have got their big dogs theories circulating, while Ruth has been hardcore coming for Jonathan after he apparently backtracked on his alliance with Nico. And Ruth, David, and Charlotte are on the chopping block for murder. We begin very briefly at the turret. We sort of return to see the traitors making their decision, and Jonathan claims their murder victim is the only sensible choice. So we'll find out. It's time for breakfast. We've got our first arrivals. Mark, Celia, Alan, and Claire are first, and Mark feels really terrible about Tamika because he helped banish her.
He should be.
He
Yes,
should
he
be.
should.
And you obviously Tamika, I know Tamika from before EastEnders, but to most people I think she's EastEnders star. I'm
Yep.
guessing were very sad to see Tamika go.
Yeah, because I've loved her since her 3 non-blonde days.
Yes! This is what I was talking
Like,
about on the pod.
I think she's iconic in that. I just remember the scene of them being big tampons going down the street, and she's like mini, and she's like the mini tampon. But yeah, I was like, we didn't get much screen time off her, and then Mark just
Yeah.
went in on the offensive like it's harder, and I'm like, come on, give it a chance. But yeah, I think Mark, but OTT.
Yeah.
I'm a bit
very.
like, I know you're an actor, but rein it in a bit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you're giving me traitor vibes.
Yeah, and he's setting off a few people's traders in this episode. But yeah, I'm gutted about Tamika. But Mark, at least he's beating himself up about it. At least he's like, oh man, I shouldn't have done that. And he says that he couldn't
And
sleep
Claire
very well
has a
last night.
weird, but Claire had a weird fantasy saying they both slept well together. I was like, okay. When
She
she said
does,
that, I found
yes.
that hilarious.
They're kind of this little group are reflecting on the vote last night and how it was so split. Like
I have
everybody
never
was
seen a
voting for
vote like
everybody.
that before.
Yeah,
That, for me, watching so many versions of Traitors, I was like, oh my God, is there going to be a majority? And I felt bad for Tamika because it wasn't even a majority. I feel
yeah.
like it should have got to a point where they were like, okay, these are the people that have the most votes. Now we're going to go around again, and these are your top 2 that you can vote for.
Mm.
So I felt like she was hard done by with the way the vote went. But it's just intriguing to show that nobody knows.
The next bunch of these celebs in at breakfast is Lucy, Nick, the 2 Joes. I'd be murdering one of these 2 Joes, I think, because I don't know, they seem to be on to the fact that Jonathan is very likely to be a traitor.
B1.
Uh, I've actually sort of skipped something as well there's a moment of Alan pretending to target Claire a bit. He's like, "Oh, you voted for me last night, and you remember you messed
Yeah,
up in that mission." So he's not having the
he's
fact that
not
she put
scared.
his name down, and he's not scared to just come at Claire. So I think
But then
that's
part of me is like, people might remember that because he didn't do it in a really sus way. He did it in a very like direct way. And I was like, oh,
yeah,
you
yeah.
giving traitor hunt. You are a traitor, but best way to do it. But I think he's a great traitor. I actually thought he's going to be out. They're going to suss him out. But the whole Paloma thing is really thrown them. So
Yeah,
I'm like, go Alan.
yeah. I think Alan is. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I think he is gonna go really far. I think people have totally underestimated him. It's funny that Alan had that little moment with Claire because Nick, who's now come in, also, and I feel like we've not had enough screen time of Nick at all. But he gets a little moment in his interview where he said he notices Claire was a bit smug about having the shield yesterday. Like he's sort of wondering, was
Who's
she
Nick again?
overacting? It's Nick Mohammed. He's a comedian, an
Oh yeah,
actor.
I was about to say like he disappeared for a while. Were you in the castle? Did you have a day off?
Yeah,
Yeah, that is true.
it's a
Sorry, I
shame.
just forgot. I feel like
I guess
Lucy
that proves it.
gives me traitor vibes, even though she's a faithful. She's one of the ones that I feel like will get thrown under the bus because she's very, and people I think will see through that and be like, traitor.
That could well happen. In fact, maybe
Because
I'm
again,
making this
she's
up.
not had much screen time either.
She's not had much screen time. I noticed that in the last episode, and I, yeah, I feel like but you're right because she just keeps going like, oh, I don't know, and rubbing out names. At some point, someone might say, "Is this all just a big act? Like, are you just
Yeah,
pretending you don't have a clue?" So maybe.
yeah,
Uh, the players are having a bit of a chat about Ruth and Jonathan and how they were going head to head at Round Table,
I
and
like
Claire.
her.
I like Ruth as well. I didn't know who she was before this. I don't know if
No,
you had
I'd never
seen.
seen her. She was like a TikToker that then got picked up during COVID times, apparently. And then
Oh,
she's killed it, and I'm like, go you.
okay. Yeah. Well, I mean, sadly, we're not going to see much more of her. But
Yeah,
because of this whole thing with Jonathan, and Claire is still insisting that Jonathan did talk about an alliance in the car on the first day. I talked about this on the podcast yesterday with Eliana. That like I don't know what I think that yes, Jonathan did mention an alliance, but like it was very flippant. Like it wasn't a concrete agreement.
yeah.
And I've
And he didn't use that word that we're an alliance.
yeah, yeah,
He said the words of something like, you've got allies here.
yeah, exactly. So I think
So I was
Claire's
like,
taken it a bit wrongly, and so is Ruth.
I mean, she put a target on her back the minute she pulled down that lever, and I couldn't stop laughing at it.
I know,
I was
yeah.
like, come on, girl.
Yeah, I'm surprised it took until episode 4 for it to really come back around. Although I don't even know
Yeah,
if that was the reason. But the next group who arrive at breakfast are Jonathan, Kat, Kate, meaning that our three possible murder victims haven't arrived yet, and Stephen, he's not shown up yet. And the two Joes already start wondering if Ruth is going to be murdered to frame Jonathan. Like they are already thinking if she doesn't come back, something weird's going on. It's either Jonathan or someone's trying to frame Jonathan. And then we get knock, knock, knock. Stephen, David, and Charlotte arrive, meaning that the two Joes were right, and that Eliana and I from the previous podcast were right. Ruth, the traitors have done the obvious thing. They've just gone for Ruth because she was coming for Jonathan. Sanjay, do you think this was the right choice? Should they have got rid of Ruth?
well, see, I find it really difficult because I feel like it's put a target on Jonathan's back, but I
Oh,
think
yeah.
he's done so well at talking, being a
Yeah.
talk show host, that he's got them all to go the other way that no one's remembered. I felt really bad because I'm glad they didn't kill off David. I think David Olusoga is such a great mind, and I think
Hmm.
they are threatened by him. I don't think he'll have long left, but I just like seeing him in there. I was like, yes, iconic. But again, we don't have much screen time off him. I'm
Yeah.
like, where are you? You're this great brain, and we don't see him that much. But I was shocked that they chose Ruth. Can you hear that horn in the background?
I can hear something, yes.
Sorry, yeah, it's the drama school, and there's a massive trombone going on behind me.
Oh, I
But
thought
can
you
you
were
hear
on the
it?
Clyde and it was a ship coming down behind you.
Just a ship coming. Yeah. But no, I was just really surprised that Ruth went. But I do think Jonathan was scared,
Yeah, yeah, he's
and he was like,
panicking.
"How do we eliminate the fear?" I don't
Yeah,
think he's
of
got long
course.
left, and I do think potential traitors turning on traitors
Yes, I definitely think that's going to happen.
because
Yeah.
Kat and Alan have already said, "Oh yeah, if I have to do it, I'll do it," kind of thing. So I was like, "Yeah,"
Yeah, there have been a few
and which
hints
I found
that
very interesting.
yes. So Ruth is gone and we get our flashback to the traitors last night. And it's just confirmed. Jonathan really wants to get her out of the way. Even though Kat says, this could look bad for you, Jonathan's just like, no, no,
Hmm.
no, I can't have her around. And Ruth receives her letter and she says that she knew this was coming. this really made me laugh when she reads out the letter and it says something like, "Ruth, you have been murdered by order of the traitors," and she adds, "Signed by Jonathan Ross."
Mm, yeah, can I just say her phrases were great. Like, don't piss in my ear and tell me it's not raining. I was
Yes,
like, I have never heard that before, but hello. Like, that's a
she's
phrase I'm
so
going to
much
use
fun.
now.
Yeah. I really hope this like, boosts her even further and we see more of her on TV.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think
She has
she's
great
great fun.
lips as well. I was like
Yes,
iconic. Like her look, she's just very striking looking. Can I also just
love
say
the look.
Alan Cummings, not Alan Cummings, Alan Carr is enjoying murdering too much. Oh
Yeah,
my
he's
god.
into it.
I'm like, you are he's like, oh no, another one. And I'm like, there he goes. He's interested in it. But I do think he was very awkward at breakfast with Claire. I think he made it awkward for himself.
Okay, okay. And Claire kind of had her eye on him already. Like she did vote for
With the
him
Paloma
before
thing.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
so maybe someone else will notice. I don't
She's
know.
on to him. Ooh.
Back at breakfast, Jonathan then immediately goes into the sort of "I've been framed" line. He says, "Ah, see
Yeah.
what they're doing," and Comedy Joe, which is what I'm calling Comedian Joe. He even goes like, he's like Jonathan Joe Wilkinson, right? He goes, "Oh well, Jonathan, that's you off the hook." And I thought, wow, everyone seems to think, yeah, this is just Jonathan being tricked. And then the other
Yeah.
players are saying, no, it's a double bluff. It's some people think it's too obvious. Some people think, no, maybe it just is him. And so that seems to be the general chat. And then Alliance Gate comes up one more time. Jonathan's like, I didn't say that. And Claire's going, you definitely did say that. And it's just back and forth. Claudia arrives in her strangest outfit yet. I don't know if I'm on board with this one. I do always love what Claudia wears. I've definitely seen an IKEA lamp that's the white version of this. So if you know, you know. So I don't know if I'm sold on the skirt, but props to
Yeah, it was an
Claudia.
interesting choice. Like,
Yeah.
but I want to know, like, who does her wardrobe? Because
Oh, well, I do
there's
know
so
actually.
because there's
It's
so many black outfits. I'm like,
our stylist is called I think it's Sinead Mick something, and I follow her on Instagram. So Sinead, maybe she's Irish, maybe it's just a very Irish
well,
sounding
she
name.
knows where to get a turtleneck from.
She has got a fast track route to that turtleneck warehouse, and I
Yeah,
generally approve. Claudia does her usual chat. She gives them a little bit of a clue for the mission, and she says you're going to have a whale of a time. And they all think it's something to
Wales.
do with an actual whale. And then I
Yeah, I found
wondered,
that hilarious.
I was like, does she not just mean whale like Wail? Or are they going to Wales on a field trip? Maybe it's a Traitors First. We're going to another country. I don't
Could
know.
you imagine we're going to go all the way to another country, to another
Or
castle?
get in the jet, off we go. That would be great.
Yeah, we're going to kill the planet.
I mean, we've got Traitors Ireland. I don't see why we can't have Traitors
A wee crossover.
Wales.
Oh my God, traitors Wales. That would be so good, you know.
And
I go
Charlotte could reappear.
Indian.
She could go back on the Welsh version. She could host it.
They re Can I just say they really some of them are really gunning for Charlotte being a traitor. She's sitting there going, "It's
Hmm.
just me got resting bitch face. It's just Monday kind of vibe." Like, yeah, they're really going after her.
Yeah,
But
she's a
yeah,
big
traitors
target.
Wales, Wales, Wales.
Or Catherine Zeta-Jones could host. She's a Welsh treasure.
Oh my God,
She would suit that very well.
yes.
I can see it. But sadly, we're not off to Wales. We're just staying in
No,
Scotland. And in fact, in what looks like a rare sunny day for Scotland, some of the players gather outside. I know it always people on the podcast probably think Matthew's always slagging off the weather in Scotland. He's forgotten his roots. He's moved to London.
yeah. How
He's
dare you
quite
become a
easy.
London bitch?
I am.
Mm-mm.
I am in Scotland right now. I would like to point out. Uh, and I know you may think that's my lie as part of our game. I'm going to say that it's not my lie, and I actually am in Scotland. So I have returned to my roots. And the players are outside. They're playing badminton. We've got Jonathan telling Stephen he'd love to see a traitor banished before he's out of the game. And like just a few feet away from them, Lucy and Celia are whispering, going, Jonathan really could be a great traitor. They know that people are talking about him. And then Celia even says, it'd be an amazing cover if Alan was a traitor. And Lucy goes, well, it'd be like Carry On Traitors, can you imagine?
I find that
So,
hilarious. It literally is though. Alan was like, I'm sweating so much usually. Like I thought he would fluff up, but he
yeah.
hasn't. But I am waiting for the day he gets banished.
Yeah, you just reminded me about him talking about how he sweats a lot. I saw a little article on the BBC News website today, and I didn't read it, but I just saw the headline, and it was a picture of Alan, and it was like Alan talking about sweating on the traitors, and it was something about like new societal norms, or like how it's okay now to like talk about
The
sweating or
sweat.
something. Like I didn't read it, but it made me laugh that
We live
Alan
in
on the
such a
traitors
weird
is like
world.
BBC News article, like very funny. I should really read it properly. Um, so what else are we talking about? Well, actually, back inside in the billiards room, we've got the big dog chat going on between the two Joes. Cat's
Mm.
there, but now Rugby Joe says he does think it's Jonathan. And Comedy Joe is saying, "Oh, but that'd be so risky for Jonathan to do that." And it's exactly what Eliana and I reckoned that maybe Jonathan would get away with it. Um, and
I
and
do think Kat is so good to be around. Like she's doing so well.
yeah, I think she's really one of the low suspects at this point. I don't think she's high on
Yeah.
anybody's list. I mean, everything can change so quickly in this game, but for now, she's yeah, she's. I think she speaks up enough. She talks at the round table. She's not completely silent, so she can't be accused of
Speaks at the
never
right
saying
point.
anything. Yeah, so
Yeah.
I get the impression she absolutely watches the show and she's a fan and she knows how it works.
And her
Uh,
music is great, by the way.
yeah, so
Like
I
she's
only
got
know
some
that one
really good
song,
songs in there.
but
You're like,
um,
don't know anything else.
you probably well, you must have known her more than I didn't really know who she was before
Well,
this.
I didn't know who she was, and I just heard one of her songs, and I was like, oh, it's her.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
but I like that. I like that she's done well for herself, but is getting a new audience through
yeah,
Traitors.
yeah.
Like, I always like
I
that when
hope
you
so.
see like unknown-ish people get even more recognition because she's got a really beautiful voice.
Yeah, yeah. There's that's interesting you've said that as well because there is all you're very like you've got some sort of psychic gift, Sanjay. There is a listener comment really similar to what you've just spoken about that we're going to come to at the end. Something's in the air today. We've got a wee bit of Rugby Joe telling us, the audience, that he's quite frustrated. People aren't really listening to him, and his gut is telling him. He calls him Jr. Jonathan Ross. He's like Jr. is a traitor,
That
but
took me a moment. I was like, JR, who's that now? And then I was like, oh, Jonathan Ross, right, okay. But yeah, I had a
yeah,
moment of going, who's he talking about?
yeah. Who's this new person? Maybe I should just call him Jr. from now on. In fact, outside Jr. right now is suggesting that Claire has framed him, so that's where he's pointing things towards. He's like, yeah, Claire.
Hmm.
Claire was really backing up Ruth at the round table yesterday. I think she's coming for me. And Mark's like kind of listing it. He doesn't know if he's buying this or not. He's not sure. And quite soon after this, we head off to the mission. There, and I thank you all the listeners who commented. Last time on the podcast, I was calling them the Jeeps, the mission Jeeps, and then I said, "Are they Jeeps? I don't know." And lots of people commented saying, "Matthew, they're Land Rovers, for goodness sake." So they're the mission Land Rovers. I don't know cars, Sanjay. I just see a
Well,
thing with
my
four wheels.
friend is one of the drivers in those Jeeps. And
Right.
I
Okay.
tried to get Cindy to tell me like who wins, what like she wouldn't tell me anything. I was like, "Come
No.
on, girl, give me the tea." But she was telling me how like some of them do chat to her, but then others are very silent.
Yeah.
But I do like those cars. But I would hate to be filming in that. Imagine you're just sitting there driving, right? But you're getting the camera off the person next to the driver, like the passenger seat. That camera might need to be very close to that driver's face. Like, how uncomfortable would that be trying
Yeah.
to like drive with a camera right there? I've always found like car shots really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah. They must have like must be sort of like fisheye lens, just like have this weird to be able to give them
Aye.
enough space. But
But I
that's
just seen Cindy drive, like when she told me, I was like, girl, I cannot see you driving a Land Rover. And she's like, no, I am. I am.
yeah, I sort of end up sometimes working with people in my work in TV who've worked on traitors and celebrity traitors, and often other people go, Matthew, go and ask them for some like inside info. But I don't want
because
to know. I'm like, I don't want spoilers. I'm not going to go and ask them to tell me things.
I
Like,
just want to know what the people are like. I was like, Sanjay, just
yeah,
tell me what they're
yeah,
like.
yeah.
But
That's
don't give
all.
me
No,
spoilers. They tell me who
sure,
died.
sure. Tell me
Also, can
who's
I just
awful.
say, I know we're talking about episode 4, but I can't believe they did a hidden in plain sight murder in the first day or night.
Yeah,
I was
really
like, for
unusual.
fuck's sake, go you, Claudia. Um, but yeah, the tasks. Oh,
The
right.
mission, and
Can I share a really funny story about the mission?
yes, but I'm going to just point out something about the Land Rovers first, and then I'm going to hand over to you,
Oh yeah, let's go
Sanjay.
back to your
So
Land Rovers. Yeah,
back to the Land Rovers, because now that I know what they're actually called, we've got Alan saying he's pretending he really wants a shield. We know he doesn't need it. The players are still trying to figure out the whale clue. And we've got Kate, like someone says, is it something to do with whale sounds? And then Kate just goes, whale calling, like really exaggeratedly.
yeah.
Uh,
I find her so odd.
she's
Like
hilarious.
she is so odd.
She is. She's
Maybe
great.
there's being a recruitment. Girl,
So so
bring it down a
exaggerated.
decibel.
Yes. And we've got others like Stephen saying he says this thing that's very interesting. He says, well, he's like the missions are really not helping us find traitors. Actually, they're doing the opposite. They're making us feel like we're a really close team. And I'm glad he said that because I always say this on the podcast. People often complain like the missions and the traitors are boring. What's the point of them? Why do they even have them? And I get that to an extent, but I do also think it's a sort of psychological play to make them feel like a
Yeah,
team to then only rip them apart later. So I do kind of
but the
get it.
but I think missions also do create what's the word in the brain suspicion. Like Claire with the lever,
Yeah.
instantly in my head I'm like, are you a traitor? Have you been told to do that? And then also I think with the missions, what makes me disagree with that is because the shields make you
Yeah.
see who has the gameplay.
Yeah.
So it's very psychological. I think it's all about the brain. So I always find that interesting.
What's your mission story, Sanjay? Is it about a
So
banshee? Did you see a banshee one time?
no, like I went to drama school. So
Yes.
I went to the Royal Conservatoire of Scotland and I did a degree in contemporary performance practice. And my degree was already very odd. And we did all sorts of weird stuff on my degree. I've not at a leak for almost 10 years. But I we we used to go on retreats. They were to a place called Weston Lodge in Biggar in Scotland. So we used to go on retreats, but these retreats were all about because like drama school, you're all in your own year groups. You don't really get a chance to cross collaborate. So the when we went to these retreats, it was like first, third, fourth, second, third years would all come together. And one of the things we had to do was like not the banshee part, but the sound part, where we would have to
Mm.
stand at either side of the woods and make sounds, whether we had drums, we had like wooden instruments, because it was all about my degree was like live art, performance, music, sounds, kinesthetic creation. So when I was watching this, my mum even turned and said to me, "Did you not do that in your degree when you went on that wee retreat?" And I'm like, I love that my mum remembers that I had to like across a forest go ooh 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 ooh, and then people had to like do it back, and yeah, it just brought back memories to a time of going on a retreat where we had to be like ah 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 ah, and then people had to like do it back to us. Yeah, it was just one of the weirdest things I've ever done. So watching it last night, I was like, I've done that before, except I didn't shove my
Flashbacks.
head into a well. I didn't put the pussy in.
No.
But I did have flashbacks of my undergrad standing in the woods going, ah, 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 ooh, ooh, and people had to do it back. But yeah, the Wailing Banshees reminded me of that. But there was also something very Doctor Who-esque about it, like the Weeping
Yeah.
Angels, these
Yeah. Yeah.
ladies just standing there. It was very eerie.
It was very creepy at the start when there's like a genuine jump scare of one of them appearing in front of the camera. Like
Yeah, you're like, oh hello,
that's
and
frightening. I was scared.
we're not done with them yet, apparently.
Yes, that they're going to help in the murder somehow. I'm intrigued
I'm
how this
like,
is playing
are they
out.
just are they all just going to come around in a circle and scream at them?
I don't know.
But no, I thought it was I think from all the seasons I've seen of trailers, other than the clown, I thought they were quite eerie.
Yeah, very creepy. I like the mission. And you were asking like who comes up with these. I mean, it's that's kind of That's what I do. This is my line
You.
of work is
It's you.
developing. It's me. I'm to blame, not for this
But it's not just
particular
that.
role.
It's like like it's the design of them that I was interested in. The
Yeah,
fact that like just two wells opposite ends. Yeah, I just thought it was very intricate, and I was like very intrigued by it. Like very well put together. I'd say maybe up there is one of my favorite tasks, along with
yeah.
creepy dolls. It's
It was
Wilma. It's Wilma. Like kind of thing. That
very
is correct.
much
It is
yeah.
Wilma.
It reminded me of Creepy Doll Task. But yeah, like putting their head underwater to hear the sound is like such a cool extra element. I really like that.
And the way
Of
Celia
course,
was coming up with those noises, I was like, do it, Celia.
so many hilarious moments on this mission. I mean, first of all, they really trick us by arriving at the beautiful idyllic garden at which Charlotte, Earth
Yeah,
Mother
you're like,
Charlotte's
hello.
living until they reveal what's really going on. And they do cleverly decide, well, we need a musician on each team. So let's have Charlotte in this team, we'll have Kat on that team, which works out well for them.
Mm,
Um, they they also the traitors quite wisely split up. So like Alan goes with Cat in the forest and Jonathan stays in the garden so that they can keep ears out for what people are talking about, which I thought was smart.
mm.
And yes, of course we had, like you said, Celia's like Lucy goes, well, you know what you do it well, don't you? I don't know what she was going to say. I don't know if she was going to say like, oh, you make a wish. But Celia just
Yeah, I was
goes,
like, where are you
put the
going with
pussy
it?
in.
Yeah, it just says it so calmly, like for the pussy, and you're like, girl, what
I
kind of well are you going to? And then she's like, oh, it's a nursery rhyme. I've never heard a rhyme that says that.
I've I do. It's like ding dong, what ding dong something pussy and pussy's in
Ding
the
dong, merrily
well.
on time.
What you know?
But no,
It's
I
really
mean,
funny on the episode of Uncloaked for this episode. Diane, iconic Diane from season 2 of Traitors, was on it, and Diane was like, "Oh, I know that nursery rhyme," and she reads it out. She's like, "Pussy and the pussy's in the well," but I can't remember the rest of it. That was my Northern Irish accent, by the way. So I was,
you got this.
but Celia and then Celia doing the this I mean I had to
The
pause it because I was laughing
guttural
so
noises.
much. I mean, by the way, and this is where I made the note that you brought up earlier that I thought when I'm watching Celia making these screeching wailing noises, I thought this is why you don't just cast social media stars and Love Islanders in their 20s and 30s.
Yep.
So US traitors take note. Like Celia's in her 70s, Alan is almost 50, he's 49, I'm sure. Imagine they
Stephen's
weren't
in his
here.
60s.
Like they're carrying the series. Like so cast older people, please, from now on. I also found some of the Banshee names really funny. I found it just quite funny that the first one was called Amanda because it made me think of Amanda Holden, and because she like
And
does the show
Alan,
with Alan, and
the
then
the one where they go take Italian houses and that. Has to be one of the weirdest shows out there. I'm like, how does this get made? They're going to Italy, making new houses. It's
I
hilarious.
mean, I was very skeptical of Alan and Amanda's show at first, and then fell in love with it, and I actually do really love it now. Also, one of the Banshees is called Ophelia, and I was like, is this a Taylor Swift tie-in? Is there her new single? Is the fate of Ophelia? What's going on here? One of them is Morag, very Scottish, very appropriate for the setting. Uh, I noticed during the mission that they opened one of them. I suppose
Then
they could
close
have
it.
done this. Yeah, they could have done this in post production and tricked us. But one of them started to sing a song about protection, and I thought, oh, that must be about the
Yeah.
shield, and then they just closed it and ignored it. So Claudia has to sort of encourage them a bit to maybe return to to the lockets for clues. Um, but the team in the forest, I think they find their shield a bit easier because it's just on a banshee. So Kat
And
takes it,
she
and
takes it, yeah.
they agree
But
to just as a group not tell the others who found it. They do this in Traitors an awful lot. Like let's just have a sort of group immunity. If the
but do you
traitors are
think
in the other
that'll
group,
work for them or not?
I think it will work this time. I do have I did have a really interesting, well, I think it's an interesting thought if I do say so myself, Sanjay, later on. So this group decides, I'll come back to it. This group decides we'll not tell the others who got the shield, and so we'll all kind of be protected. So, and Kat thinks actually that makes me look like a really good faithful as well. So this works out well. On we go with more banshees screeching and Celia, and oh, one of the banshees is called Luna, which is the name of one of my cats. So thank you, Traitors production team, who've obviously been listening to the podcast. It was clearly a shout out to me. Uh, well, they
Sorry.
choose Janet is one of the banshee names, and we've got Charlotte giving us some. Charlotte manages to make those whales like really beautiful when she copies
Yeah.
them.
I was like, girl, they were not that nice.
Yeah, it's
Like
great.
I am also intrigued though. Are the actual banshees making that sound, or are they pre-recorded? Like, are those wee women making those noises? Because one of them sounded painful if she was.
No, yes, I'm pretty sure there's a little speaker, and it's not to ruin the illusion, but yes, I think it's all just sort
How
of
dare you ruin the
smoke and
illusion?
magic. I'm sorry. Even
Oh, smoking magic.
when when they get like the fifth one right, even Claudia's like jumping up and down with them, which is really good fun to see all the time. And by the end of the
But how
mission,
many did they get in the end? Only four.
they got four, so they've banked £4,000 out of a possible
Yeah,
5,000.
could have done
But
better.
must try harder. Not good enough.
Yeah.
Uh, they still have 3 minutes left in the garden, so they've got time to find the shield. That's when they go back to the
Mm.
locket, and it tells them that protection is hiding in the watering can. But there's this. I found this moment very odd.
Yeah, and
Jonathan
no one picked
grabs
up on
it
it.
and just goes, "Oh, who wants it?" And Stephen's just sort of there, like, "Oh, I'd love it." And he goes, "Okay, okay." Stephen must be protected at
No
all
one really brought
costs,
that up.
and everyone else just sort of went along with it. Even though Kate had said
Yeah.
to the audience in her interview, I'd really love a shield." Like they don't vote on it, they don't have a chat about it, or if they do, we don't see it. They've edited it all out. So it just and Stephen keeps saying to them for the next 10 minutes, like, "Thank you so much, thank you group for letting me have it." And I thought they didn't really let you have it. Jonathan just gave it to you and no one said anything. So I thought it was a quite a good example
I,
of them just being like, Stephen Fry's wonderful and amazing, and we must be nice to him
yeah.
all the time. So I'd be
But I
annoyed if
was
I was
I
in that
thought
group.
but I thought they would have brought it up at the table how like they gave it so easily.
Yeah. I mean, maybe they will next time. Maybe it'll come back. Uh,
Jonathan's gonna get bit on the bum. It's coming.
it could be coming for Jonathan. So
Hmm.
Stephen's got his shield, I'm going to add in something else a bit shady here. On the last episode of the pod, we had a voice memo. Sorry, not a voice memo, an email from Sean, who's listening. Sean's a writer. And Sean said he thinks as a nation we all admire Stephen Fry a bit too much. And like, yes, he's clever, but he's probably not the mad genius that we think he is. And Sean was saying, well, what's he done in the show so far to prove that he's a genius? And I sort of thought that in this episode as well. I thought he didn't really do much in that mission. Charlotte was doing all the heavy lifting. Stephen was sort of just like bumbling behind. He didn't find the shield in the watering can. So I'm
Can
like,
I ask a controversial question?
okay, sure.
I only know Stephen Fry as an author,
Hmm.
but what is he known for?
He is an actor and a comedian, and he does lots of
Oh,
presenting. But I
because he's
think,
currently playing Lady Bracknell in
yeah,
The Importance of Being Earnest.
yeah, that's right. So I don't, I think he actually kind of started in drama and comedy. Like
That's what I was thinking, yeah.
he used to do comedy sketches with Hugh Laurie. So Laurie and Fry had their own sketch
Yeah.
show on the BBC
Okay,
in
it's
like
coming
the
back to
80s and
me. Yeah.
90s. And yeah, so he acts in TV and film and writes fiction and non-fiction. Well, actually, mainly non-fiction, I think. But yeah, so he does all sorts. But yeah, that's my thoughts on Stephen. What? Right, here's what I said I was going to come back to this, right? So we had, bear with me, this might get a bit complicated. We've got the group in the forest who found the shield, and they said, let's not tell the others who found it, so they think it might be any of us, and so the traitors won't come for us. So we'll all be kind of fake protected. And I thought, what would have been really interesting is if the garden team had done the same thing. What if they had all said, let's
Yeah.
not tell the others who's got it? Because then the traitors would be in a really interesting position. Like, well, no one's admitted, like, unless all the traitors were in one team, the traitors
Yeah.
would end up knowing who'd had the shields. And so they'd have to just pick whoever they. I don't know. I just thought it'd be a really interesting scenario if both teams did this group immunity thing. It kind of would have just rendered the whole thing useless, and actually the traitors would have then
Yeah.
just had to pick whoever they felt like anyway, except the people who had the real shields. Or maybe the traitors deliberately pick someone who does have a shield to fake a failed murder. There's all sorts of things that could have happened. My mind was sort of going down different routes here. Uh, anyway, to end the mission, Claudia gathers them all. She gathers the garden team, congratulates them, and again he's thanking everyone for being really kind and noble and giving him it. But back we go in the Land Rovers, as I now know they're called, and the garden team are saying, Charlotte, you were the MVP of the mission, and Stephen's still going on about being grateful to being chosen for the shield, which I don't think he really was chosen. And funnily enough, in the other car, Claire is with Kate and Mark, and she does say briefly, wasn't it weird how easily Jonathan just gave that shield to Stephen? And no one ever talks about it again.
Mm,
But Claire did say it. So maybe next episode, Kate or Mark might remember that. Probably not, but you never know.
there's been a
We
recruitment.
There's been a recruitment.
How's she still there? Like I thought she'd get banished so early on, but
Well,
she's making it.
it could be on its way. We are back at the castle, and Alan does a little sneaky testing of the water with Lucy, saying, "Who are you going to vote for? Is thinking about Jonathan?" Or I think Lucy says, "Oh, some people are talking about Jonathan," and she says Jonathan and Claire are the two most likely to come up. So again, like you said earlier, Sanjay, I think Alan is kind of testing, like, do I need to turn on Jonathan at some point?
Yeah, do I
And
need to be like bye?
and he's got a little moment in his confession, his interview, and he says, "Oh, that this national treasure idea is coming up. People are looking at Stephen Fry and Jonathan Ross and Celia Imrie." But it's quite funny that I think of Alan as a national treasure, and he doesn't really acknowledge himself that way. So I just thought that was interesting. He didn't go, "Hey, what, me? I'm a national treasure." Maybe he was just being very humble. Uh, the
I do
play
find
more
him
pl
hilarious.
he's it just makes me laugh every scene he's
Thanks, so
in.
good.
The players then sort of join Alan and Lucy. I think they're all eating together, and
Mm,
this is where Alan reveals to some of the others that the Forest team won't be telling who won the shield. Jonathan's sitting there beside him quietly, and it doesn't really matter to Jonathan. He's going to find out from the traitors later on, unless he's banished first. He's going to find out who's got the shield.
mm.
And at the same time, it's so funny that Stephen Fry's just got his shield around his neck and he's very proudly wearing it. And I thought, yeah, does this further prove what Sean, our listener, said, that would it not have been smart? Well, it doesn't matter to Stephen. He's got the shield, so he's protected no matter what. But Stephen didn't think to say to his group, why don't we all not tell the others who's got it? Maybe he's just plain selfish.
Mm.
Maybe he's just like, I don't care. I don't care if one of you gets killed. I want to get I want to get ahead. So maybe he is doing the smart thing. I don't know.
Could you imagine?
Yeah, I don't care about these
He's
guys.
like, oh, I don't care yet.
Yeah. Jonathan is then talking to Lucy. This is all in the same scene. But he's
Mm.
talking to Lucy, but he's saying it loudly enough that the others could hear if they wanted, that he thinks Claire is a traitor. And he does this classic thing of saying, look, Lucy, if I'm murdered tonight, look at Claire. Which I think is so funny, because if that's his logic, like if I get murdered, look at the person who was coming for me, I think, well, you murdered Ruth. We should be coming for you if that's how you think we should play the game. So I don't think it was very
Yeah.
wise of him to say that. We move to the library. We've got Comedy Joe, and Comedy Joe wants to look at the people who've been too quiet until now, and maybe they're going to speak up a little bit tonight. Cut to Alan in the kitchen, immediately going, I'm going to speak up tonight at round table. And he says he's going to put some names out there and test their reactions. Lucy's talking to David about Stephen and how close they are, and she said, do you think Stephen could be a traitor? And David says, I know Stephen really well. I think of him as a genius, but that's what makes me think he could be acting amazingly well. And Lucy's just left, right, and centre struggling she doesn't know what's going on. She keeps getting everything wrong. And
I feel like if
finally,
traitors get to the final, they'll keep
mhm.
Lucy and then they'll throw her under the bus and they'll split it.
Yeah, that could be a
I feel
great
like Lucy's
tactic.
like an easy choice, unless she gets
Agreed.
banished for being too quiet. But I
Yeah,
think, yeah, because they've got
uh,
rid of all the very vocal ones: Ruth, Claire, Tom Daly. Tamika, I feel like, could have been more vocal if she
Mhm.
stayed on a bit longer, but Mark was after her.
Yeah, I agree. I think if I was a traitor, Lucy would be a great person to just keep around because she probably is quite
Mm.
easily swayed by the looks of it. Before we head into the round table, there's just one final moment in the kitchen. We've got Rugby Joe and Kat, and he's really deliberating about Jonathan. And he's like, is Jonathan a traitor? And Kat actually steers him away towards Claire.
And goes to Clay. Yeah, I actually thought, girl, you're giving yourself a target there
Hmm.
by swaying him to the other person.
Yeah, so she maybe that could have been a moment where she said, "Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for Jonathan." But she's really holding on as long as possible, I think. So Rugby Joe is very torn about what he's going to do. So we head into the round table, and it feels like Jonathan and Claire are going to be going head to head here. Claudia arrives. She tells them the prize fund is now £31,500. She's congratulating them on how well they work as a team in the missions, but is encouraging them to
Not
maybe do more of that at the round
at
table.
the round
Because,
table.
yes.
I thought
And
that dig was so funny. You're great as a team outside, but see here, you're all a
not so
bit
much.
shy.
Yes. And Stephen immediately starts the discussion in a really interesting way because he suggests, let's just do the opposite of what Claudia said. And he's like,
Yeah,
why don't we just have no discussion? I think what he meant, maybe I'm wrong. He says, why don't we just have no discussion, write down who we suspect, and then tell each other to avoid being influenced too much. I don't know if he means like, let's just vote right now. I think he just meant like as a starter, like let's just start by saying who we think and then we can discuss things. Because I think if he
which
had
I would
said
be
we're
so
not discussing
intrigued by.
anything, yeah, that would be. I would love to see that play out. I think if he said, guys, let's not talk, let's just vote, production would have been like, you can't do
No,
that.
because
We need something for TV. Like you need to talk. So he wouldn't have
apparently
got
the
away with
round
that.
table is like a couple of hours long.
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Oh
reading
my God, so
interviews over them all, people are like it goes on for ages.
yeah, yeah. They want to get as much footage as they can. Absolutely. So after Stephen, we've got Kate, who says, "Well, actually, I kind of do want to hear people's thoughts because she's like quite clueless." And she's like, "Even if you're not going to vote for someone, can you just tell us what you're thinking? I need." I think she even says something like, "I know this is a bit like simple-minded or something." I can't remember the phrase she uses, but she's like, "I know that seems a bit like I don't have a clue, but I don't
How
have a
is she
clue."
not being banished or murdered? Like how is she not being banished or murdered? There's
Well,
been a recruitment.
I
One of my favorite lines this season.
yeah, it's a great moment. Comedy Joe then brings up his theory that maybe the traitors are staying under the radar or the trader, and he highlights David, and he's like, David, you're really clever, and we see you on TV a lot, but I don't we don't hear much from you. And David and Celia's like, yeah, David, I think you're probably like hating this game because you're so shy. And I think David admits that. Well, he says, no, I'm enjoying the game, but I'm just very quiet. And he he uses this word that I actually have never heard before. He uses the word dissimulation, which as I can figure out, it means like he can't fake it. He's like, well, I can't pretend to be more confident than I am. Like I
Yeah,
can't I can't. He's like, I actually have
which
been
is
getting everything
fair.
wrong. Yeah,
Every time there's a quiet one in the series, they're always the ones that are like, "You're a traitor because you're quiet," and I'm like, "Oh, that's a shame." Like, what
yeah,
if you're just an introvert?
yeah. It happens so often on the traitors that introverted people just become like natural targets. And
Yeah,
I, I I sort of get it. I get the idea that if you're a traitor, you might be playing quietly, but it also just feels a bit of an easy way to get rid of someone quite
yeah.
easily because you don't really know who the traitors are, so you just pick on somebody who's a bit of an outsider, possibly. Um, Alan actually backs that up a bit. He says it would be delicious if shy and quiet David actually turned out to be a traitor who's pretending to be bad at being a traitor. Then Nick points the finger at Celia. He says she would make a very formidable traitor, and Celia kind of deflects that. And she points out, well, actually, Nick, no one's voted for you at all. So is that not quite interesting? Should we be looking at you?
I mean, he's
I
not had much screen time, so
No, he
maybe
hasn't.
we should.
Maybe we should. And I think maybe Nick has just been again like a quiet person. Maybe he's just a bit more introverted. So maybe
Mm.
that's that's just why he's not had screen time because he's not like actively doing a lot to get
Yeah,
attention. Um,
but that's also like
I'm
I feel sorry for people that are like that because not everybody is like that all the time. Because someone said to me,
sure.
"Would you go?" And I was like, "Yeah," but I think people think I'm always ha 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 all the time. But if I'm in a game, I do go quiet.
Yeah.
I feel like I'd be Tamika if I was in the Traitors.
Yeah.
Mark would be like, "You've changed," and I'm like, "I'm just tired. I get tired easily, Mark. Leave me alone. My
I
battery's
love
ran
it.
out."
You've changed. I'm just tired. That's a great line. I wish Tamika had used that. Mark, I'm just tired.
Like they've got to midnight, Mark. What do you want me to do? Be jumping a boot? No, I'm just tired. That would be me on Traitors. They'd be like, I think Sanjay's changed. Yes, he's tired. He's got dodgy knees and he can't run far. And he put the pussy in. Do you know what I mean? Leave him alone.
Sanjay. I'm going to make a little point here as well, or maybe a big point, that
Ugh.
I can't quite get on board with this whole you'd make a good traitor chat. They say it a lot of the time, like like someone just said to Celia, you'd be a formidable traitor, so that might make you a traitor. Or they say things like, well, who'd be the least obvious traitor? I think trying to theorize about who's been chosen as a traitor is pointless. Like trying to get in the minds of
Yeah.
the producers and think, well, this
Because they're
person
all
would
different.
they're all different. You don't know what the producers are thinking. You don't know why they've chosen who they've
Do
chosen as
you think,
traitors.
though, do you think Claudia does get a say in who the traitors are?
I think she
Or do you think the
probably
producers have already chosen them?
I think she probably is involved in the conversation, but it's absolutely not her decision, I would say. I don't think she's the one person making her mind up about. Yeah, I think she
Yeah,
has her little interviews with them, and then her and head of the production team will have a little meeting
a wee
for
chat.
an hour. Yeah, so I think she's
Apparently, those
involved.
chats are longer as well.
Yeah, I wouldn't that I can imagine that going on for a really long time, deciding who to really actually go for. It's such a huge part of
I wouldn't have chose
the show.
Jonathan Ross though.
Ooh,
I would
okay,
have
why
chose
not?
Kat, Alan, and I would have went with Stephen, or I would have went with Tom Daly.
Yeah, a lot of people thought Tom was going to be a traitor. Why would you have made Tom a traitor?
I just think he was very mm, mm, like I don't know. He had like that
Bit of
gay
sass.
energy. Yeah, I mean, the man be good looking. See, when that funeral procession was happening, I was like, hello, look at those pets. Mine's ain't like that.
Um, that I'm just sort of like wondering how I could use that in a social media clip of you just saying he's got that gay energy.
Also, I would have loved them if they brought in and plonked a celebrity halfway through.
I thought that was going to happen, and now that we're in episode 4, I'm thinking, oh, maybe it's not going to happen. I
Maybe
think it
not.
would have happened by now, but I did
Yeah.
think that we're going to bring in an extra person in I don't know, episode like 2 or 3, but maybe not now.
If you could bring in someone, who would you bring?
Well, I'm very sad that Jennifer Saunders isn't in it because she was a big rumored name.
That's weird you
Um,
said her because I was going to say Joanna Lumley.
oh, she'd be
Could you
amazing as
imagine
well.
Ab? Could you imagine both of them Ab Fab going in? One of them's a
Ab
faithful,
Fab
one of them's a
reunion,
traitor.
yeah,
Yeah.
that I mean, maybe next series I can see it.
I mean, Dawn French has already
And
been Claudia.
Chuck Don French in there. Yeah, bring her back from that comic
Do you
relief
know what I mean?
special. Get
Bring
her
them
in the
all
game.
in.
Absolutely. I would 100% back that. So to conclude my rant, I think all you can really go on is what people have actually said and done in the game, not what you
Yeah,
think might have made the production team choose them as a like. Look at Nico. They all banished him because they thought, well, oh, he does pranks on
he's
social
a
media, and
prankster.
so that would have made him a good like that was just useless. Like they didn't prove anything, and he was a faithful. So here comes Claire at this point. She says Jonathan did talk about an alliance in the car with her, Ruth, and Nico, and now, well, they're the only two left, so we can't ask Ruth and Nico about it. And Kate then goes like, "Well, so what are you saying?" And I thought the same. I was like, "Yeah, Claire, what are you saying?" And and Jonathan's like, "Look, he doesn't really answer. He just turns it back on Claire, and he says, 'Well, I'm suspicious of you because of Tom's murder.'" he says Tom knew you really well, like Claire had said in the last episode. She's known Tom since he was about 12. So he's saying and he says Tom suspected you of being a traitor, Claire. So if Tom was saying that and he knows you really well,
Mm.
that's not a good look for you. And maybe that's why you got rid of him. And Claire's just sort of like, no, 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 like shaking her head. And Charlotte comes in on Claire. She says, yeah, I think you've been trying to direct me towards people. And that coffin mission, you were really going hard for Kate. And I think you were trying to influence me. Comedy Joe does the same. He's like, yeah, Claire, I think you've been talking about the shield too much. You keep boasting about having
Mm.
it. You didn't need to tell us about the shield. And Claire's just like, look, I'm flattered you think I could pull this off, but you're all wrong. And then she does say, she says, look, killing off Ruth would have been a classic traitor move, and she's right. And so David points out, yeah, let's talk about Ruth's murder. It could have just been a traitor coming after her because she came after them, like Jonathan. Or it's
Mm.
this amazing double bluff. And if it was a double bluff and anyone was going to attempt that, it would be Jonathan because he's a traitor super fan. He watches all the different versions of the show. He's really confident. I can imagine Jonathan trying to do this, which is exactly what has
Mm.
happened.
Yep.
There's there's a we're almost at the vote, and there's a really interesting moment here, I think. Mark asks Jonathan, this has come up before, but he says, Jonathan, why do you keep going up to people and telling them that their names are being spread around? Like, why are you telling people?
Yeah.
And Jonathan goes,
I was like, how
well,
you get out of that?
and I think he gets out of it fairly well. Like, he's quite calm, and he says, well, I want to test the reaction. If I say to someone, people are talking about you being a traitor, I want to see their body language. I want to see if they're shocked. I want to see if they get
Mm.
tongue-tied. And then I think Rugby Joe comes in here to like test that a little bit. So he says, well, Jonathan, I'm going to tell you, I think you're a traitor. And Jonathan's just like quietly nods. And I wondered if Joe was doing that to prove a point. I wonder if he was like, well, Jonathan, if you're going around telling people you think they're a traitor to see how they react, I'm going to do it to you. I don't know if I'm making that up, but I thought maybe that's what Rugby Joe was trying to do there. But the time for
But
talk is
Jonathan was
over.
not phased at all. He was like, "Yep,
No, no,
I'm
no.
not a traitor."
He's looking Jonathan right in the eye. He's not phased at all.
Like,
They, yes, Claudia tells them discussion's over, time to vote. We see them all nervously writing things down and shiftily looking about. There's a wee moment where Celia looks at Comedy Joe beside her, and she looks at his board and sort of catches his eye, and they have a little nod. I thought that meant they were going to vote the same way, but they actually vote for different people. And so the vote begins, and it's Claire first, which is interesting because she's under the spotlight. Claire votes for Charlotte, which I was really surprised at. I thought she was
I
going to
was
go for
really surprised.
Jonathan.
Like, I thought you would, yeah, because everything's pointing towards Jonathan. Part of me was like, "Are you been told to vote for Charlotte, or do you just don't like her?"
I just
Like,
wondered if it was there so much more of the chat we didn't see, or did she think that more people were going to go for Charlotte, so she was just trying to save herself? I don't know. Um,
yeah, like I was very confused.
yeah. And the next few votes are all quite split again. David votes for Claire, Nick votes for Celia, Alan votes for David. Mostly women as well, which I thought was quite interesting. And I wonder, are people afraid to go for the so-called big dogs? Do people not really want to vote for Jonathan and Stephen because they're a bit scared? And
Yeah.
it's easier to vote for the women? I don't know. Mark is next and votes for Charlotte as well. So Charlotte's got a couple now. Kate goes for Claire. They've got two each now. Rugby Joe votes for Jonathan. So that's only the first vote Jonathan's received. Um, and actually, Jonathan doesn't get any more votes, which I'm amazed at. Lucy goes for Claire, Kat votes for Stephen, Stephen and Comedy Joe vote for Claire, which means at this point, Claire has got four votes. Charlotte's behind her with two, and the others all have one. Celia votes for David next. So at this point, David would need to have the last two votes to even make it a tie, but it doesn't matter. And Charlotte's kind of escaped it
Mm.
now. Jonathan and Charlotte both vote for Claire, which is as the votes were going on, I sort of thought that's where it was going. So poor Claire is out. I have lost my sweepstake at work because I chose Claire out of a hat at random. She she gets up to do her goodbye speech.
Mm.
Everyone is looking so nervous, waiting for the reveal. And she says, I came in with only one strategy, which was to be nice to everyone. I've had the best time. I love all of you. And she's a TV presenter, so she knows how to play this. She has a really dramatic pause and says, I am, and I have been from the start. Ah, it's like, we're waiting for like a Big Brother eviction. She eventually goes, faithful. And there are
Yeah.
two very different reactions straight away. Mark is raging. Mark is like, fuck's sake. He's
Yeah,
fuming.
I was like, oh, he's
I'm a bit
fuming,
Mark.
like not happy.
And
Like bring
at
it
the
to a
same
notch.
time, yes, Alan then is just
Is
like
laughing.
laughing nervously, and everyone else is like horrified about what they've done. Claire goes
Alan
off,
laughing made me laugh.
just like
Because
that
I was
sort of
like,
mad,
only
nervous
you
laughter.
would get away with laughter.
Yeah, yeah, and I think he does. Claudia tells them you need to get dirty in the round table. You have to interrogate each other. You've got to flush the traitors out. She says, "Stop being so polite." Off she goes, and there's two really contrasting moments here because we've got Lucy who says, "Oh, whoever these traitors are, there's something else." Like she's like, man, they're so clever and crafty. And then we cut to Jonathan in his interview saying, "I'm the luckiest traitor ever. We didn't really have to do anything. The faithful have done it for us." So the faithful think the traitors are geniuses, and the traitors
I
are
know,
just
don't
like, the faithful are doing everything. We don't really need to do anything. Which it's just so
they?
funny
Yeah.
that difference. We leave the round table. We get a bit of a debrief in the castle as always. Mark's just going off his nut, and he's really doing the Scottish stereotype a favour. He's like this. What? He's like bloody rubbish. Like he's just absolutely fuming.
I
And
love how like dramatic he is.
I mean, it's great
Like when
TV.
Tamika got kicked out, he was so not happy.
Yeah, fuming. And I mean, they all agree they're just totally hopeless at it. And obviously, Alan's like pretending and he's pushing that forward. He's like, "Oh my God, what we like, we're terrible." Kat in her interview says she thinks they're doing pretty well. Like she says, "Well, everyone just refuses to accept that Alan could be a traitor. I'm just being seen as young and sweet." Jonathan, on the other hand, is in a bit of trouble. In the kitchen, Stephen says, "Well, if there's another murder in the morning, I mean, there might not be. Maybe the traitors accidentally go for someone with a shield and they fail." He says at least a quarter of the players left will be traitors. That's really bad going. Celia
Yeah.
admits that she really did suspect Jonathan, but then he sort of swayed her at the round table, and next time she said, "No, I can't be swayed by him." She says she has to ignore his deliciousness. And Rugby Joe quizzes Alan outside. He's like, "How are you making your decisions? Come on, like." And he pushes him on Jonathan a bit, and Alan's like, "Do you think could it be Jonathan then?" And Rugby Joe does ask him about Mark. He says, Mark has been very over the top. Is that a bit suspicious? And of course, Alan is only too happy to go along with that, and is sort of like,
He's
"Yeah,
like,
I'll go with
well,
that theory. If you want to
yeah.
put Mark out there, sure, I'll buy into that." It's midnight, the clocks chime, off they go to the Land Rovers, and Claudia tells us that the Wailing Banshees are coming. What does this mean? I still don't
But
know.
only one of them.
Oh, well, only one, that's right, only one. And we cut to the turret, the traitors arrive, Alan's saying, "Oh my God, what just happened?" Jonathan says it's like playing chess with a bunch of 5-year-olds, which is a little bit patronising. And Kat is telling Jonathan, "Well, you're kind of in trouble because of Ruth's murder." And she reveals she's got the shield. They start theorizing about, well, which group, what we're going to do. If our group are pretending that we're not going to reveal who had the shield, I don't think we should go for anyone in the group that I was in the forest. So they decide, let's just target the group in the garden because we knew that Stephen had the shield and the others didn't. Um, I mean, they don't have to do that. They could just pretend that the traitors were all in the garden group and just try and murder someone from the forest group and see if they can get away with that. But anyway, they decide, let's just do the simple thing and go for the garden group, I'm calling them. So they start with Charlotte. They're thinking, well, if she seems quite, even though she's wrong all the time, if she catches on to the right person, she might be quite relentless about it. They think Kate would
Yeah.
be a good scapegoat. And Alan makes this hilarious joke where he says if Kate doesn't come down for breakfast, people will think she's just gone into a broom cupboard by accident.
Yeah.
And they also point out, well, she did almost, well, not almost, she did get several votes in the first banishment. So, like, she's not.
Yeah.
totally escape people's suspicion. And she keeps saying that she's got absolutely no idea. So maybe people are getting a bit annoyed about that. They talk about
They're like,
David.
you do.
You do, and
I think
you're,
it's
yeah,
David that's
too
going.
much. I
I
do
think
too.
David's going.
They think David's too smart and he might start to really catch on to the traitors eventually.
Yeah.
But Kat points out, wait a minute though, people are starting to suspect him as a traitor. Shouldn't we just keep him in case he get banished next?
It's either
Um,
Charlotte or David.
yeah. It's
I
funny
think
because
Kate's
they.
staying, sadly.
I'm torn, but I think she will stay. They actually don't talk about killing Mark, even though he doesn't have a shield and he was in that group. I wonder if Alan has said to them, "Oh, by the way, Rugby Joe thinks Mark might be a traitor. I think we should keep him around." But they make their decision.
Mm,
Jonathan says this funny thing where he goes, "Is it just me or is this getting a lot easier?" And I thought, you are on the chopping block for banishment, Jonathan. I wouldn't be so confident.
yeah. I'd be
And
terrified.
yeah, so I don't know if it's that easy. And Alan finishes by saying that whoever they've chosen as the murder victim, it'll really rock the boat. And we see a banshee approaching in the night in the
Creepy as
castle,
fuck.
and the episode ends there. Now, I was half right last time with my predictions. I predicted that Ruth would be murdered, but I was wrong with my banishment prediction. I thought Jonathan was for the chop, but Claire is
Also,
gone.
too, like, how he got away with it, I was like, okay,
Yeah, but I mean,
for
I
the
do
gift of
think
the gab.
he does. He's good at. I think he's good at quite calmly defending himself and explaining his way out of things. And people think, well, he doesn't seem like he's panicking. Um, I I'm sticking with David for murder. So are you sticking with David? You think he's good next?
Yeah, I'm gonna say David because that's twice now they've thought of killing him.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna,
I for
and I
the next
think,
banishment, I'm gonna go for Mark. I know Jonathan seems like the next obvious choice, but sometimes they just swing away from the obvious person. And the fact that we had that little moment of Joe talking to Alan about Mark, I wonder if they put that in there to foreshadow what's coming
yeah,
next. I'm gonna go Mark.
I've got three names for banishment.
Oh, check you. Okay,
So I think Jonathan is definitely up there.
he's
I
up
agree
there.
with Mark. I feel like people are now like, why are you so OTT? But
Hmm.
I'm going to throw a spanner in the works, and I'm also going to say Celia
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah. She's getting some heat.
because she's
She's
been very in your face. I'm going around snooping. I'm just snooping. Girl, why you telling? I think people are going to be like, nah, she's playing a game. So those are
yeah.
my three for banished, man.
That's a good shout. Celia could be in trouble. You're right. I mean, I'll be gutted because she's bringing such comedy gold to the series.
Her farting, I'm sorry. I may have farted on this podcast today. Who knows?
It's the moment of the series, I think.
Yeah, do you know what I mean?
So, okay, so one of those three. I'll stick with Mark, but Celia would be my. That's a good choice for my runner-up, I think. Um, we've got some listener comments and questions. I am going to go to just. I'm going to lead into one of the listener questions. Actually, I've got this final thought about the episode and the series. I've talked about this a wee bit on the podcast, but I think this episode sort of further proved a bit of my theory that maybe less known celebrities are a bit more at risk. Like the fact that Ruth got murdered makes me wonder, is it easier for the traitors and the faithful to get rid of, like they're not really going for the big names because they're a bit scared, like, or they know them too
I think
well and it's just easier
Tom
to get rid
Daly is
of the.
quite a big name, no?
That's true. And I have written to myself,
Paloma
Tom
Faye,
disproves that a bit. Paloma, yes, but I would say that that was only Alan's
certain
decision to do
generation,
that.
no.
There's a YouTube comment on this very topic, and I'm so sorry I've not written down the person that commented this on YouTube. So YouTube commenter, thank you, and I just didn't write down your name. I'm sorry, but whoever it was, this lovely listener has said. This exit order has me a bit concerned that none of the outsiders or up and coming celebs stand a chance. And Sanjay, you kind of spoke about this a little bit earlier. The comment says, if David or Ruth are murdered next, and this was before they'd seen episode 4, and Ruth was murdered next, I'm going to be so annoyed. I'm sure that pre existing friendships play some role, but the cynical me wonders if perhaps it's also the juice or the connections that some of the more famous players can wield on their peers' futures. I don't know if I agree with that part, but they go on to say Tamika going out on those four flimsy votes seemed much more about not wanting to name Stephen or Jonathan than anything she could have done or said to save herself, which I sort of do agree with. I really
Yeah.
hope that I'm wrong. I'd hate to see this opportunity cut short for the very types of personalities who could really use this elevated platform. So, like you said, it's great to see someone like Kat get more exposure on TV, and it or Nico, and it's a shame that their time might get not Cat, but it's a shame that like Nico just had his time cut short so early when it would have been great for his career and great for people to get to because I think Nico's actually really clever, so and really interesting. Uh, I've got more questions, and actually I'm going to go to a voice message that I'm going to play, Sanjay. This is from Angus, who has commented before. He's a loyal listener, and he has got this thought on people's jobs and their occupations. Here we go.
This one isn't really a question. I just wanted to give an observation regarding a certain meta that applies for celebrity seasons. So from what I've seen from non-English speaking celebrity seasons, usually all the traders are from different occupations slash fields. And I think that's going to be particularly relevant this season given how many of the celebrities here are from the same fields. So by my count, there's approximately 8 actors slash actresses. There's 6 TV presenters, there's 5 comedians, and there's 3 singers. So I personally am wondering if this is going to have any impact on the meta or any impact on the game. But for example, I would personally assume that one of the 8 actors slash actresses is a trader, even though that's not the case here. And then in addition, Alan and Jonathan are both TV presenters, but I believe Alan is more known for being a comedian. And I also do wonder that, say, for instance, if Jonathan was banished and revealed as a traitor, would that clear the other TV presenters like Claire or Kate or Steven from suspicion and subsequently make them prime target for murder? Anyways, those are just my thoughts. Loving the podcast as always.
So that's very interesting. Are people's fields, their jobs going to come into it? Are the players thinking, oh, we've got some actors, we've got singers, we've got presenters, maybe there'll be one from each group? I Do you think that's gonna cross anyone's mind, Sanjay? Are they thinking about the jobs that people come from?
I think they are in a way, but I think in this game everybody becomes an actor. Let's be honest. Like
Mm,
Kat is a singer, but she's having to act.
hmm
She's having to put on a new persona. Um, but I do think, yeah, sometimes the jobs do play a stereotype. Like someone has said, I can't remember who it was, but Jonathan Ross speaks to people. His job is to quiz people.
Yeah.
People are like, oh, is Tamika maybe an actress? Which is a shame because I think some of the actors also just want to be people
Yeah.
in this game. But I don't think it's always. But yeah, I do think sometimes the careers do.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I've got a few thoughts on this. Firstly, I've not seen much of the players talk about this on the show, but maybe that's just what we're being shown in the edit. I think they're paying
mm,
more attention to fame levels rather than what they're famous for. I think that's what
yeah,
they're placing the emphasis on. So they keep talking about Jonathan and Stephen being the big dogs. And again, like Eliana said in the previous episode, I think Celia should be included as a big dog. Um, so I
yeah,
think that's what I think they're focused on fame, like
more
status
than
rather
anything.
than job. And also,
Yeah,
this Angus's voice message did make me wonder something. He pointed out, well, Alan and Jonathan actually have quite similar roles, like they're both comedians turned TV presenter. I hadn't thought about this. I wonder if Jonathan gets banished, people will think, well, they've not. Alan won't be a traitor then because they wouldn't have picked Jonathan and Alan to be traitors because they both
yeah,
are
they're both
quite
chatty
similar.
men.
So that might
Yeah,
make Alan get away with it,
which
possibly.
even I was a bit like, oh, two very similar kind of hosts,
Yeah,
comedian, chatty people as traitors. I was like, oh, interesting.
yeah. So I
But
think
their reaction, Kat and Jonathan's reaction when Alan arrived, I thought was hilarious.
when
Because I think they
they
all were like, oh, when they first revealed, so I
when
think they
they
both were
yeah
like, I think they both were like, oh, for fuck's sake, how's he going to do well? Like,
yeah
I thought that was hilarious seeing their
it was
reactions to him.
and even Alan I think was like I can't believe I've been picked. Like he's like how the hell am I going to do
Yeah,
this?
even he's like, wow, okay, it's happening, it's real.
But hey, he's doing all right. We thank you for that voice message, Angus. Got a question on Instagram, very interesting from Emily, which says, with Jonathan Ross's love for games and the traitors and strategy, would he have negotiated in his contract that he would be a traitor? Like he would only sign up and be in the show if he was a traitor? I think that's an interesting thought, but I'm gonna say I have a reason. I think that's not the case. I don't think he would get away with that. And the reason I think this is because Richard Osman, who has his podcast that the rest is entertainment. Richard Osman has talked about this very thing, and he said he was asked to be on the show, and he asked, "Well, I'll do it if I can be a traitor," and they said, "Well, no, we can't guarantee that," and that's why Richard Osman isn't doing it. So I think if they told Richard Osman no, I think they would have also said to anyone else, "No, we can't. That can't be in your
Yeah.
contract." So
I love that he had the balls to be like, I'll do it if I am a traitor. I think that would
Yeah.
be me. I'd be like, hi, can I please do this? But maybe
Yeah.
a traitor.
I mean, I think they ask them like they always do. We'd love you to be on the show. What would you want to be a traitor? Like, would you be comfortable doing it? And Jonathan Ross would have been like, yeah, I'd really love to do it. I don't think he would have gotten away with saying, I'm only doing it if you
I'm a
let me do
traitor.
it. Because even
I
though
wouldn't
Jonathan
want
is
to
a
be a
huge
traitor.
name, you
I'd-
you
I'd be like Alan Carr. I'd be like, no, I'd be shitting myself because I can't lie without smiling.
oh,
So
does
if I have
that
to
mean
lie,
you've maybe every time you've smiled on this podcast, you've been revealing your lie to me? Is that what you're saying?
no, I'm just a happy person. So if you need me to go and lie about something, I just get like, oh, really?
Okay.
But
Right, so
I'd be a shit faithful as well.
no, Sanjay,
So I
I've
would
got
just
faith in
blurt out.
you.
I would just blurt out things. I'm like, so I didn't mean that way. Do you know what I mean?
But that could work in your favor. The traitors might be like, this guy's great, he just says anything, let's keep him around.
Let's banish him.
You could get quite
I'd
far.
get murdered though. I'd get murdered. I
Uh,
wouldn't get banished. But I'd
oh, I
rather be
don't.
banished though, because then I get to do the speech. You all have been arseholes, and I have to put up with you. It's been so difficult, but you know what? From day one, do you know what I was? A faithful, and then I'd walk away.
Yeah, you'd have a
Or
great
if people
goodbye
were
speech.
arseholes to me, I would be a diva. I'd be like, well, you and you and you, keep your eyes on them. I'd suss people out. I'd throw people under the bus if I was a faithful and
I
got
can see
banished
that.
early.
I see that in
I'd be
you.
like, you kicking me out, I kick you out.
Thanks, Emily, for that question. That was really interesting. We've got an email from Ellen, who is somewhere in the UK, who says, this isn't really a question, it's just a theory. She says, my forecast for the winner of Celebrity Traitors, or guess, to be honest, is that Alan Carr will somehow win, as nobody will ever believe that he would have been made a traitor in the first place. And Ellen sent this to me, I think after even like episode 1 or 2, this email. And even if he blurts it out one day, they'll all think he was bluffing. He's absolutely hilarious, not to mention clueless. And thanks for all you do, very much appreciated. I have another voice message. Weirdly, from this is from the States again. People often send messages from other countries. So this is from, well, maybe Ryan actually lives in the UK, but just has like an American sounding accent to me. But I'm assuming Ryan's in the States. Let's listen to that.
Hey there, Trade Podcast. It's Ryan speaking, I guess. Yep. Really enjoying the coverage of the new UK Celebrity Traitors. Also, as someone who did the Traders Live experience, I enjoyed hearing the voice note about the fellow that got to go play it with Claudia and all the other stars. Awesome to see a fan like ourselves get to do that experience. Really, after watching episode 3, really gutted that Tom is gone. He would have been a great fun to watch. Although that being said, Rose and Alan are so much fun on the show. The whole humorous tone of the show is absolutely wonderful. Also, one little production note that I wish they'd done. I don't know, Claudia had a brilliant opportunity to say the line introducing the message about the mission at breakfast when she said, a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. I was genuinely disappointed that when she left, she didn't go, goodbye. In any case, thank you so much. Really enjoying the show and look forward to hearing the more recaps. Bye now.
Sanjay, that was my weakest link reference from earlier. That Ryan thought Claudia should have done like an Anne Robinson and talked about the weakest link and said goodbye. So that's what I was laughing at when you talked
I'm all
about that
for
before.
that.
you knew that was coming. Thank you, Ryan. That was very interesting, and it is good to hear people's opinions from other countries who, yeah, maybe aren't as familiar as we are with some of the celebrities. But Ryan is loving
Yeah.
Alan. Yes, good. I think everybody's loving Alan. So thank you, Ryan. I have
How can
one
you not?
more. How can you not? I've got one more message from Maria on Instagram who's asking a question that says, do you think producers will have any influence over who's murdered, at least in the early days? Or do you think the traitors themselves will take into account who the audience would want to see for longer? Would just seem like a waste if Stephen Fry was murdered early, for example. What do you think, Sanjay? Are the producers going, look, don't get rid of Stephen Fry yet?
Yeah, I think no, I don't think they would have in a way because I think everybody's a big personality and it's the name of the game. You're just not going to all get airtime. Should me airtime, but I am gutted. I would have loved more Tamika.
Yeah, I'm sad. I really like her as well. I think if she'd had more time, could have shown how funny she is. She cracks me up. Um, yeah, I'm very sad.
And I do feel like people like Nick Mohammed haven't had enough time yet.
Yeah, yeah. I don't, in response to Maria, I don't think, and maybe I'm being very naive, but I'm pretty sure the producers are not influencing the traitors to pick. Because Tom Daly was a big name and he's gone quite early. I think that's a surprise. So
Paloma
I'd
Faye.
like Paloma, yeah, exactly. So I like to think,
I would have
no,
first got.
they're
I
playing
think
it genuinely.
I would have been. I would have got rid of Kate first. I feel
As
like
a
she's in every reality show.
She has done The Masked Singer. She's done I'm a Celebrity. Yeah, she's enjoying the reality shows. Yes.
Yeah, I need the
Uh,
people that I don't see that often.
yeah, yeah.
That's
Uh,
for me. That's where I'm at.
we're almost at the end. I just have one thing to add. Primark or Premark, however you say it, have like traitors pajamas. This range of clothes, and I'm just saying this so that people know I know. About 10 people have sent me links to it, going, Matthew, did you know about this? And that's very sweet and thank you, but I do know now, so you don't need to keep sending me them. If
Do you
someone wants
have
to
a pair?
send me, I don't have a pair, and if you want to like buy me them and send me them, please do. But
What
I'm just
size
putting
are
it out
you?
there. Well, you have to send me just several sizes, and I'll try them all on, and then I'll maybe just have lots of them.
Double XL.
Listeners, well, that would be really cozy. Listeners and Sanjay, remember, we have been playing the Trade or Traitor this whole time. We might still be playing it right now. Before we conduct our banishment and reveal what we've been dishonest about, Sanjay, please tell us how we can follow you online, what you're up to, what may be ahead in the future for you. How can we follow you?
Yeah. So I'm Sanjay Lago on Instagram. Uh, I think I still have a Twitter as well. And I'm Sanjay Lago on the Blue Sky. Oh, and the TikTok.
Ooh.
I don't do many TikToks, but it's there. And I don't have anything currently. I'm currently just undertaking my masters and developing my Fringe show for a potential tour, hopefully.
Ooh.
But I do things here and there and everywhere. And if you're ever looking for a host or anybody or an actor, I'd love to come and work with you. So hit me up, folks, because I love collaboration. I love working with people. So not in the moment, but watch this space.
Yeah. And yes, it's so funny. We can just hear like violin strings in the background every now and then. It's quite pleasant, so I'm not going to like cut it out or anything.
Okay, Fab, thanks. I was worried because I was like, oh no, they can hear everything.
I feel like you're at the Traitor's Castle and they've just brought in a string quartet to like give us some pleasant
Or
background
Jimmy.
music.
Or that.
Yes. I, I also, Sanjay's just lovely and wonderful to work with. So hit him up, follow him. He's great fun. I'm going to plug myself here as well. Apart from the podcast, I have a book launch tomorrow as we're recording this in Stirling on Saturday, the 18th of October at the McRobert Centre. I am launching my new poetry collection. Here it is. It's called From the Juniper Room. Very excited. And then a week later, on the 25th of October, which is also a Saturday, I'll be in London at the Kirkdale Bookshop in Sydenham to launch this as well. And by the way, in Stirling, there'll be a couple of other poets with me who are going to be performing. They're absolutely fantastic. In London, I'll have at least 2 of my Trader co-hosts with me, so that'll be very exciting to see. So please come along, or if you can't make it but you're interested, You can buy copies of the book from Drunk Muse Press. That's my publisher online. The book's available now to order, and you could get in touch with me as well and ask me about the book. I do also have, this is my novel that came out a few years ago. I'll be selling this at the book launch too, and it's available online, and I'm showing you it because I think if you're a fan of The Traitors, this might be right up your street. It is called The Stone in My Pocket. It's a coming of age novel set in Scotland in a village and involves not banshees, but mysterious ghostly voices in the night and a teenage boy who thinks he's been contacted from someone beyond the grave. Now, as for the podcast, to make sure you're up to date with the Traitors and Traitors news and updates and other shows we end up covering, and sometimes little videos from me, you can follow on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at the Traitor Podcast. And the Instagram followers are increasing, which is great because if we can get to 1,000, I can start doing Instagram live videos again, which Instagram recently stopped. And you can send me questions, comments, thoughts, DM me. You can email me at thetradarpodcast@gmail.com, or you can do what Ryan and Angus did and leave a voice note, and you can be featured on the pod. It's really easy to do if you visit memo.fm/thetradarpodcast. Wherever you're listening, please subscribe and follow and leave nice star ratings and all that wonderful stuff. And if you want to support the podcast, you could visit the coffee.com page and put in a little one-off donation. You don't have to subscribe to anything. You choose the amount. It's ko-fi.com/Matthew Keeley. And last time I did mention a few people who have donated in the past week or so. We've got Sarah, JD, Grace, RJ, Megan, and Angus. And I'm saying thank you again because last time I just sort of rushed through their names and moved on, but I didn't say thank you. I really, really appreciate it when I get an email saying someone's put in a donation on coffee.com. It's just such a lovely boost, and it just helps me keep motivated to keep the podcast going and keep buying the software and the equipment that I need to do it. And if you want some merch, like this mug or my hoodie or my notepad with Trader things on it and stickers and magnets and all sorts, you can buy merch at thetrader.redbubble.com. Now, Sanjay, it is time for us to conduct our own banishment as we conclude the podcast and our game, The Trader Traitor. Here's my shield. I've had it this whole time. Sanjay, I'm hiding the shield in one of my hands. You have to guess which hand I'm holding it in. Which one is it?
Your right one.
This is my right hand. It's not there. It's here. Ha 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 ha. That means, oh, you can't see. I get to choose first whether I go first or second. I am gonna go first. I think I know what your lie is.
What?
Well, I've got two guesses, so I'm gonna have to pick one.
Okay.
I'm gonna guess. I think you went full throttle with your bluff, and you really committed to it. So it wasn't just like a little one-off thing. I think you really stuck to it. I think you don't know someone called Cindy who drives the Land Rovers on the Traitors. Oh man,
No.
is that real?
Yeah.
Sanjay, I was so, oh man, I was doing well. Right, okay, well done.
Cindy
Well, hi
was one of the
Cindy.
drivers.
That's very cool. I'm actually quite glad that's the truth because that's very exciting to know. So
She never told me anything though. I'm kind of, that's a good friend. But also
that
an
is a
annoying
good friend
Like, Cindy, tell me
and a
things.
good
I want to know.
and a good employee that she didn't reveal secrets. Well, Sanjay, you said you wouldn't be a good traitor, and you were because I totally have been deceived by you. What was your lie?
So I did go on a retreat with my course, but we didn't have to do sounds in the forest.
Oh man, I totally believed that. I was like, yeah, that makes sense. I can totally imagine that being part of a drama course.
Yeah, it's one of those things that with my degree, doing a live art degree, we could have done it, but we did go into the woods and we did like chill, but we didn't scream at each other. Yeah.
Well,
that would have been much more fun.
that would have been right. Go for it. What do you think I lied about?
I think your sweepstake at work with Claire.
Yeah, that's great.
Well, Sanjay, that,
Excuse me?
as listeners will know, is not my lie. and I have already mentioned it on the podcast. That is true. I actually did get clear in the sweepstake at work, and now I'm out the sweepstake.
And you lost.
And I've lost the sweepstake, but I have won this game between you and I. I'll tell you what my lie was. My lie
Oh my God, what
was
was it?
I just made up something that didn't happen in the episode. I made up that at the round table when they were voting, Celia looked at Joe and caught his eye, and they had a little nod, and she looked at his
I
slate.
thought that was lies because it wasn't in my notes, but then I didn't say it. See, that's cheating because in my defense, I thought the lie had to be something to do with us, not the episode as well. So
Could
in
be
my
anything.
defense, in my defense, the rules weren't very clear because I was like, that ain't going to happen. That's cheating.
I think
I
that
can't-
sounds like a you problem
So
and
we're
not a me
both good
problem.
traitors. We're
We're
both really good traitors. We'd be
Yeah.
a good team together.
we would be a good team together. We should play the
Yeah.
traitors. Sanjay, thank you so much for playing and
No,
for joining
thank
me on the
you.
podcast. I love having you on. And thank you, listeners. Of course, I'll be back next week to cover episode 5 with another new guest co host. Until then, goodbye, Sanjay, and listeners, later, traitors.
Bye.